On NewsHour tonight. Suspension, counter-suspension rocks PDP as factions emerge amid worsening crisis. Tinubu replies Trump over alleged Christian massacre. Country of particular interest tag. Public hospitals shut down nationwide as resident doctors begin strike. On the foreign scene, Israeli attacks, demolitions continue throughout Gaza Strip despite ceasefire. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on NewsHour tonight. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. We'll start off with the issues and political matters. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has suspended the National Legal Advisor, Kamaldeen Ajibade, National Secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, Deputy Legal Advisor, Okechukwu Osoha, and National Organizing Secretary, Umaru Baturi, for 1 month following a court ruling that halted the party's planned national convention. Disclosing this while addressing the press, the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Debo Oluguagba, said the decision followed an emergency National Working Committee meeting held on Saturday at the party's office, Legacy House, located in Maitama, Abuja. He further stated that the NWC arrived at the decision in line with the party's constitution, adding that the matter has been referred to the PDP Disciplinary Committee. As a result of internal crisis within the party, the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday issued an order preventing the PDP from going ahead with its scheduled convention in Ibadan until further notice. In his ruling on the case, Justice James Omotosho directed that the event be suspended until the party complies with the provisions of its constitution, the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, and the Electoral Act 2022. The suit was filed by 3 aggrieved members of the party: Austin Nwachukwu, Imo PDP Chairman, Ama Ibrahim Nana, Abia PDP Chairman, and Truna Alba George, PDP Secretary, South. The plaintiffs asked the court to stop the PDP's planned 2025 National Convention in Ibadan, where new national officers were to be elected, alleging that the convention violated the Electoral Act and the PDP's internal rules. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has plunged deeper into crisis as fresh divisions emerge within its leadership, with the faction backed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, announcing the suspension of the acting national Chairman Umar Damagum and 5 other members of the National Working Committee. Briefing newsmen in Abuja on Saturday on behalf of the factional NWC, the PDP National Secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, announced the party's National Vice Chairman, North Central, Mohammed Abdurrahman, as the acting National Chairman. Joining us to further discuss the situation in PDP is Public Affairs Analyst Jide Ojo. Good evening, Jide Ojo. Thank you for joining us on NewsHour tonight.
It's my pleasure, Chiamaka. Good evening. Happy New Month.
Happy New Month. It's suspensions and counter-suspensions taking place today in the PDP. What do you make of it? And most especially, these 3 people that were suspended before, that's the legal advisor, the secretary, and the deputy legal advisor. Why were those 3 particular people suspended due to the court order?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that People's Democratic Party is now embroiled in what is called MAD. They are now MAD. Apologies for that choice of word, but it's an acronym for Mutually Assured Destruction. The different factions are just helping to serve as undertaker for whatever is left of PDP. Just last week, Nyesom Wike referred to PDP as being dead, that the party is dead, and that the funeral rites is about to be conducted, and that's exactly what's happening. In fact, I wonder why a court Abuja Federal Court even sacked the Zamfara lawmaker that defected on the ground that it should not. Because this section 68 subsection 1G of the Constitution is very clear on what ground you can defect. And the situation in PDP is mature for any notable and any serious politicians to have a retrospection about continuing to be member of that party. Now, you ask a question, why was the National Legal Advisor and a couple of other people, why were they suspended, including the National Secretary and the National Organizing Secretary? Recall that about 2 weeks ago, Chiamaka, there was an altercation in court between the National Chairman and the National Legal Advisor. And that exhibited shows that there is no cohesion and discipline within the National Working Committee of PDP. It's so unfortunate. This is a party that governed Nigeria for 16 uninterrupted years. This is a party that is supposed to offer alternate platform for Nigerians to vote. This is a party that was promising heaven and earth that they were going to dislodge the incumbent president from power. How did they intend to do that? In fact, as of 2 days ago, we learned the governor of Taraba State is also on his way out of the party, and deservedly so. So it's a problem of ego, problem of inability to reconcile.
Okay.
I don't know whether you are aware, Chiamaka, that there was a senator, former president of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, was heading a reconciliation committee of PDP.
Yes,
it was inaugurated maybe sometime last year or early this year.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's doing to bring all these warring factions together. But the way they are going about, I think it is true that PDP is on its way to Golgotha if it's not already there. Okay. Because what I see is ego problem, inability to reason, to do the right thing. From what I learned, about 14 states have no state working committee or are in crisis. Out of 36, you have almost half that are in crisis. And you want to press on to have a national convention in the next 2 weeks. How feasible is that? Those who are going to be delegates to that convention are to come out as the state working committee are supposed to be members of the delegates that will go and vote for the national working committee members in the next 2 weeks. So if 14 out of your states are having issues, why don't you backtrack, try to reconcile, do the needful? The court has said, follow due process. But the Electoral Act has prescribed how you are supposed to do your congresses and convention. They are supposed to be what? Local government and state congresses. Before you can talk about national convention, yes, why don't you make sure that all the state congresses have been done and due process duly followed? But this whole, I suspend you for 1 month and then if you tackle me, I will double you. Where will it lead the party?
All right, Mr. Ojo, I can see that you have quite a lot to say about that, but we need to continue with the news and this conversation. You mentioned about the party not being able to pull its weight, an opposition party. But beyond PDP, what does this actually portend for opposition politics in the country if the supposed major opposition party can't seem to have its ground and stand its ground?
That is the disappointment, Chiamaka. That's the disappointment Nigerians are having. That Nigeria is already a de facto one-party state. There was initial pretense that we are two-party state. Okay, you can talk about APC, PDP, and others. But tell me, where are the opposition parties to APC today? Labour Party is having its own issue. There are two factions, the Namadi Usman's faction and then the Julius Abure faction in APC, the ADC that claimed to be a major coalition some months back, some of the juggernauts, some of the chieftains of that ADC has not even formalized their registration of the party. I was shocked to discover that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has not gone to register in his gather ward to formalize his membership of ADC. Peter Obi has not gone to his ward in Anambra to formalize his member of ADC. But they are all claiming to be chieftains of ADC. So there is a lot of confusion, a lot of chicanery and treachery going on in the fold of the opposition. And that's why I agree, and I said months back that Nigeria is already a de facto one-party state, because the PDP that everybody was looking up to, after all, when you go by the number of elected representatives in the National Assembly, even among the states, PDP used to have 12 state governors in its fold after 2023 election. It has a sizable number of senator and House of Reps members. Today, it's hemorrhaging on daily basis. Just last Thursday, 6 of his members defected from APC, from PDP to Labour to APC. Just last Thursday. So what we are saying invariably is that the opposition elements in Nigeria have greatly disappointed the voting Nigerian public, because it has left us with no choice but to go the way of APC, despite the macroeconomic economic policies that is sorting the Nigerian public, despite Nigeria looking forward to having an alternative to APC in future elections.
Let's take our last 2 questions in one, Mr. Ojo, so that because we need to go to other parts of the news. Now, let's get to the last questions. You've mentioned about the PDP. Now, do you think, is there any visibility, any possibility that the party will pick up ahead of 2027? And of course, what's the take home for every other party from this crisis in the major opposition party?
Sincerely speaking, Chiamaka, nothing is impossible, and politics is a game of interest. If the elders of the party, the conscience of the party, the board of the party, they have a board of trustees that is led by former president of the Senate, what is his name, that is from Abia State. I've forgotten his name now. They have him. If he can summon the warring factions and speak peace to them and let them reconcile genuinely, they can still salvage the situation. Yes, a number election is bygone and forgone for them, but there are 2 off-cycle governorship elections coming up in Ondo, coming up in Ekiti and Osun next year, ahead of 2027. So if they are able to still put their house in order, I'm sure at some point in the nearest future, the way there is an exodus into APC, a time will come where there will be an implosion in APC itself, and people, even chieftains of APC now, may be looking for alternate platform to go and join. So the situation is not an hopeless situation in my own estimation. It can still be redeemed, but the leaders of the party needs to come and speak truth to the different factions, try and reconcile them so that they can forge ahead. It's not cast in stone that their convention must hold as scheduled on the 15th and 16th of this month. They can defy it by 1 month. In the course of that time, let them do the needful. All the state chapters that are in crisis, let them go and resolve those crises. Let them have their congresses. All the zonal congresses that are supposed to be held, let them be held. Let there be an harmonized position within the party, so that by the time they come to convention, whoever emerges victorious at the convention will preside over a harmonious house. A house that is divided against itself cannot stand. Right now,
thank you so much.
Despite the court's injunction,
thank you so much,
Damagum has
Mr. Ojo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
of yesterday. Let them go to
for your insights on the conversation and happenings in the PDP.
Can impose.
Then that was Jide Ojo, public affairs analyst, speaking to us on the crisis taking place in the opposition party, People's Democratic Party, PDP. Still in politics, there was a low turnout of voters across Niger State during Saturday's local government elections, which also witnessed violence and no-show in some of the polling units. As at 9 a.m., voters and electoral officers were yet to be seen at the polling units across the state, while in other places there were voters on ground as early as 8 a.m., but there were no electoral officers. In Chanchanga, Boso, Shiroro, Munya Agwara and regional local government areas, there were low turnout of voters, and it was observed that several polling units did not record half the number. In Magama local government area, election materials were set on fire by angry residents following reports of missing result sheets in the materials in Natsko, as the residents accused officials of attempting to manipulate the election process. It was learned that the INEC office was the target, but residents around pleaded with the youths that burning of the INEC office would affect their houses. An official of the Niger State Independent Electoral Commission, who pleaded anonymity, claimed that they were able to save some of the sensitive materials, though others for several polling units got burned. Over in Anambra State, the government has disowned information circulating on the internet asking electorates in the state to access by clicking a link a campaign fund allegedly being provided by Soludo campaign for the upcoming gubernatorial election. In a statement, the Commissioner for Information, Lo Mefo, said neither the governor nor the government has authorized any campaign or initiative that requires citizens to visit external links or provide personal information in exchange for funds. He noted that the purported campaign claiming to offer 25,000 naira campaign funds from Professor Charles Soludo is therefore fake and should be totally disregarded. The statement urged India Anambra and the general public to be vigilant and not engage with suspicious links or provide sensitive information, especially those trying to cash out of Governor Soludo's great profile. For over a decade, residents of Bunki village in Rano local government area of Kano State have been cut off from the main town due to the absence of a motorable access road. They say the situation has claimed lives, crippled their local economy and left them appealing for government intervention year after year. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim visited the community and tells us more in this report.
Bunkuyi and neighboring villages are known for producing large quantities of grains and vegetables. To get there, it's a journey of about 10 kilometers from Rano town, but one that feels much longer. Despite its agricultural potential, the lack of a good access road has kept the community isolated.
When the
rains come, we are completely cut off. Only bicycles and motorcycles can pass. Farmers say produce buyers often refuse to enter the village, forcing them to sell their harvest at giveaway prices to middlemen. We sell at very low prices because buyers complain about our bad roads. We travel to Rano for healthcare since vehicles can't reach us and our produce often goes to waste. For residents, the consequences go far beyond economic hardship. Community elders say the poor condition of the road has turned medical emergencies into tragedies as patients often die before reaching the nearest health facility.
We cleared
this road ourselves over 40 years ago. I've seen women die on the way to the hospital. We have no school or health center and no road despite our farming contributions. With no government intervention for more than 10 years, residents have resorted to self-help, gathering sand and stones to build small makeshift bridges just to make the road passable. But their efforts remain temporary and unsustainable, as the representative of the village head explains.
Jama'ar garin Funkuyi suka haɗa kuɗi aka siyo siminti sannan muka bugi dutse.
We built this small bridge with local materials, but during the rainy season, people still lose their lives here. We are begging the government to help us. According to local leaders, the poor road network now poses a serious threat to both lives and livelihoods. For the people of Bunkuyi, the road is not just about convenience, it's about survival. They are appealing to the government at all levels to prioritize the construction of the road, saying it would save lives, boost local trade, and end years of isolation. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Despite several years of democratic governance, many local communities in Katsina State still grapple with the absence of basic social amenities. Daga village, located in the eastern part of Jibia local government area, is one such community facing some of the worst infrastructural challenges in the state. Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi visited Daga community and now reports.
This is the only feeder road connecting Daga village to Katsina city, a distance of about 18 kilometers. The dusty and even road has been neglected for years, forcing motorists to maneuver through rough terrain. Here, safety is a luxury. The goal for many passengers is simply to find space to cling to a moving vehicle and get to their destinations. Although ox carts serve as alternative transportation, they are mainly used for moving farm produce, a process that consumes much of the villagers' productive hours before they reach their destinations. I think you have passed through our travel road. In fact, all our facilities are in bad shape. We no longer trust our political leaders. Imagine our health facility becoming rotten less than 2 years after construction. This road has been in this bad condition for many years. Governor Rada was here during his campaign and promised to construct a third road for us. But up till now, nothing has been done. I appeal passionately to our political leaders to think again. There is no excuse for neglecting this village. We are peaceful and have no security issues. So why abandon us in this pathetic situation? Located near the Niger Republic border, life in Daga community is nothing short of survival of the fittest. At the entrance of the village stands a health facility built 2 years ago as a constituency project by the member representing Keita Jibia Federal Constituency, Sadesoli. According to residents, the facility was destroyed by a heavy windstorm even before its commissioning date. The entire roofing and ceiling were blown off, and the water tank now hangs loosely on iron bars with no functional borehole in sight. The facility has since been abandoned and now overtaken by reptiles and dangerous insects. Only one health worker who commutes from Jibia town, about 58 kilometers away, visits occasionally. Daga community, with an estimated population of over 500,000 people, is left with a dilapidated, understaffed, unequipped, and largely non-functional health center. When Trust TV visited around 10:30 a.m. on Friday, the facility was under lock and key. The health officer in charge only arrived at about 11:30 a.m. This hospital was blown apart a few months after completion, Since then, nothing has been done to repair it. I believe it was a substandard project. All the equipment meant for it were taken away. The hospital never lived to see its commissioning day.
At the
moment, the health facility operates only about 3 to 5 hours, 3 to 4 days a week, and remains completely closed at night. So if you have a patient or a pregnant woman, you are left to decide what to do. Many residents said they rarely visit the facility due to its poor condition, adding that those who fall ill are often left with no option but to seek medical attention in neighboring villages in Keita local government or cross the border in Niger Republic. This situation highlights the need for equitable distribution of government projects rather than concentrating development efforts in major urban centers. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
President Bola Tinubu has made it clear to Donald Trump, his American counterpart, that Nigeria does not tolerate religious persecution. Nigeria's #1 citizen stated this in his personal response to Trump, who on Friday redesignated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Trump had claimed that Nigerian Christians were facing existential threat, vowing that the U.S. would protect them. But on Saturday, the Nigerian leader responded back to Trump via social media, stating that Nigeria stands firmly as a democracy governed by constitutional guarantees of religious liberty. Tinubu stated that since 2023, his administration has maintained an open and active engagement with Christian and Muslim leaders alike and continues to address security challenges which affect citizens across faiths and regions. He further said the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. The Nigerian leader maintained that religious freedom and tolerance have been a core tenet of the country's collective identity and shall always remain so, insisting that Nigeria opposes religious persecution and does not encourage it. Former Chief Whip and current Senator representing Borno South, Aline Dume, has blamed the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration and the Senate for the tagging of Nigeria by the United States President Donald Trump as country of particular concern. Dume, in a statement on Saturday in Abuja, accused both the executive and legislative arms of complacency, saying their failure to proactively engage the United States government on the alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria led to the development. The senator recalled that he had earlier sponsored a motion in the Senate on Christian genocide in the country, arguing that the motion led to resolutions mandating the Nigerian government to engage the United States with verified facts and figures. Senator Dume accused the Tinubu administration and the Senate of treating the allegation raised by U.S. lawmaker Riley Moore with complacency prior to Trump's declaration and urged the federal government to take urgent steps to engage the U.S. government with facts and figures on the activities of terrorist organizations, which he noted were blind to faith. The Muslim rights concern MIRIC has accused the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, of letting down President Bola Tinubu despite what it described as the president's generous consideration for Christians in federal appointments. The allegation comes in the wake of former United States President Donald Trump's decision to place Nigeria back on the list of countries of particular concern, CPC, over alleged genocide against Christians. In a statement by Professor Ishaq Akintola, the founder and executive director of MIRIC, the organization criticized what it believes was the role played by some Christian leaders in petitioning United States authorities about religious killings in the country. Mirik argued that the move was unwarranted, insisting that the picture presented to the United States did not reflect the reality in Nigeria. The group accused unnamed Christian leaders of contributing to Nigeria's negative image abroad by sending petitions to U.S. officials and alleged that Khan backed these claims rather than refuting them. Mirik expressed disappointment over Khan's stance, saying the association should have acted more responsibly considering its national influence. Away from that, some stakeholders in Nigeria's education sector are voicing strong opposition to a proposed policy seeking to remove mathematics as a compulsory requirement for admission into tertiary institutions for students in the arts and humanities. To this end, the Nigerian Mathematical Society in Benue has warned that the move could weaken the country's education standards and impede national development. Our correspondent in the state reports from Makurdi.
The debate over Nigeria's education policy is intensifying as stakeholders, including the Nigerian Mathematical Society, urging the federal government to shelve the proposal to scrap mathematics as a mandatory subject for admission into universities and other higher institutions for candidates in the arts and humanities. The society cautions that removing mathematics from entry requirements could diminish students' analytical and problem-solving abilities, weaken academic rigor, and make Nigerian graduates less competitive in the global economy, increasingly driven by data and quantitative skills.
Maintaining mathematics as a core component of admission requirements for all tertiary students is crucial to sustaining Nigeria's educational integrity and long-term national development. So that's what we are saying. Federal government should please maintain mathematics as a compulsory subject for at least admission requirements. All university applicants, irrespective of discipline, should possess a credit pass in mathematics to ensure a minimum standard of quantitative reasoning and literacy. This standard should be maintained or improved upon.
Professor Mba criticized what he described as inconsistent educational reforms, recalling the earlier removal of history from the national curriculum. An action, he said, disconnected many young Nigerians from their roots and national identity.
We recommend to the federal government, through the Minister for Education, that mathematics should be maintained as a compulsory subject for admission. What we are saying here is that not that the student will go into universities or higher institutions and do mathematics, but they should have it as a base background, so that when they go in, they won't find certain things difficult when they start meeting.
Stakeholders maintain that retaining mathematics as a core admission requirement is essential for nurturing critical thinking and preparing future generations for a knowledge-driven world. They warn that lowering educational standards could jeopardize Nigeria's intellectual foundation and overall competitiveness.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has flagged a total of 2,658 admissions conducted during the 2024-2025 academic session as illegal. The illegal admissions were flagged from a total of 17 universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, according to a breakdown of institutional analysis conducted by the board, which was obtained on Friday in Abuja. This is as public universities ended the admission process for the 2025-2026 academic session on Friday. According to the data, the affected institutions with illegal admissions are Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University with a number 1,847, Osun State University with 492, Abubakar Tafari Ali Polytechnic with 148, Federal College of Animal and Health Production with 66, and the University of Calabar with 28. Others are College of Education, or 12 people, Mike and Cecilia Ibu University, 12, Redeemers University, 5, Pan Atlantic University, 5, Nigerian Army College of Education, 2, Kwara State Polytechnic, 1, and Best Solution Polytechnic, 1, amongst others. This is the News Hour on Trust TV. We'll return from the break Take a look at Potoskum iron benders seeking modern tools to boost trailer building. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now a recap of our top stories. We told you that suspensions, counter-suspensions rock PDP as factions emerge amid worsening crisis. Also informed you that President Tinubu replies Trump over alleged Christian massacre, country of particular interest tag. Two more stories. The Nigerian Association of Residents Doctors has commenced indefinite strike to press home their demands. The president of NARD, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, disclosed this in a statement on the association's X account on Saturday. The decision comes after the expiration of a 30-day strike ultimatum issued by the association. According to Suleiman, the strike has become inevitable following the repeated failure of the federal government of Nigeria to honor its promises and implement the agreements reached with them after several rounds of dialogue, appeals and ultimata. On Thursday, Abuja resident doctors said they will join NARD in its indefinite strike due to unmet demands by the Federal Capital Territory Administration peculiar to them. NARD had a week ago announced the plan to commence an indefinite strike on Saturday, 1st November 2025. Meanwhile, the Association of Resident Doctors at the University College Hospital Ibadan on Saturday joined the nationwide strike as directed by its headquarters. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, had earlier announced it would embark on a nationwide strike on November 1, citing the federal government's failure to meet its long-standing demands. The association is demanding a 200% increase in the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure, CONMES, in addition to demand for the full implementation of new allowances proposed since July 2022 and the immediate recruitment of clinical staff. NARD had also been calling for the removal of bureaucratic bottlenecks, delaying the replacement of existing doctors, among others. The UCH ARD president, Dr. Boyega Ajibola, told newsmen on Saturday that all resident doctors, medical officers and house officers of UCH were in full compliance regarding the anticipated effect of the strike. The UCH ARD president emphasized that patients will not be able to receive specialist care as they should. Potoskum in Yobe State is known as the headquarters of trailer construction in northern Nigeria. The town's iron benders and fabricators play a crucial role in building and repairing heavy-duty vehicles used across the country. But as the demand for trailers grows, local artisans say lack of modern training and tools is holding back the industry. Trust TV's Hassan Lawan Koli reports on how these challenges are affecting productivity and youth employment.
In the heart of Potoskum's trailer building cluster, the sound of metal cutting and welding defines the rhythm of work. But behind the noise and sparks lies a struggle for progress. Dan Asabe, a master iron bender training dozens of apprentices, says limited access to modern tools is slowing their work. We are still using locally made cotton engines because we can't afford the authentic ones. A single modern cotton machine costs more than 10 million naira. The one we are using needs more manpower and time. The result, slower production, increased fatigue, and lost customers. This iron bender says many clients don't understand the limitations they face. Some customers think we are lazy because jobs delay, but they don't know we are using old methods. If we had better machines, we will finish faster. Despite the challenges, the trade remains a source of hope for many young people seeking skills and survival. I am learning iron bending to take care of myself. One day, I want to open my own workshop and train others so they can also be independent. For the hundreds of artisans and apprentices in Fortescue, modern equipment and technical training could transform their craft, boosting production, improving safety, and reducing youth unemployment. They are now calling on government and private investors to step in and help modernize the sector. If government can support us with modern machines and training, this industry can employ hundreds of youths and even boost the economy.
Kamar idan za a yi wannan aikin namu in za a yi shi a awa biyu kamar za a yi benda kwano kwaya 50 awa biyu misali in mutane za su yi in injina ne duka aka yi awa ɗaya za a benda kwaya 50 kaga za a samu sauki sosai cikin aiki.
From manual cutting to trailer assembly, Potoskum's iron benders are shaping Nigeria's transport backbone. But they say with better tools, their impact could be even greater. Hassan Lawan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
The security matters. Over in Kebbi State, the police command has confirmed the suspected bandits abducted the Deputy Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Muhammad Samaila Bagudu, in Bagudu local government area. The command's public relations officer, CSP Nephew Abubakar, disclosed this in a statement issued on Saturday in Birnin Kebbi, the state capital. According to Abubakar, the abduction occurred on Friday night around 8:20 p.m. when a group of armed men invaded Bagudu town and seized the lawmaker shortly after he had observed prayers on his way home. The police spokesman added that the command had swiftly deployed a joint team comprising police tactical units, military personnel and local vigilantes to pursue the abductors and secure the safe rescue of the Deputy Speaker. He added that the Commissioner of Police in the state, Bello Sani, had reiterated the command's determination to protect the lives and property of residents across the state. The Nigerian Army says its troops have in the last 48 hours crushed several terrorist cells, rescued 17 kidnapped victims and apprehended 20 suspects through intensified offensive operations across the country. A military source at Army headquarters who confirmed the development on Saturday in Abuja said the operations were conducted simultaneously across the northeast, northwest, north central and south-south regions. According to the source, troops of the 192 Battalion supported by the Civilian Joint Task Force, neutralized 2 terrorists during a fierce encounter with Islamic State West Africa Province ISWAP fighters at Hudugum village in the Goza local government area of Borno State. He added that 3 terrorists, identified as Fanami Ari, also known as Abu Dujana, Husseini Hassan Modu, also known as Abu Yusuf, and another trainee, surrendered to troops in the Kukawa and Dumbo local government areas. The source revealed that the surrendered terrorists cited loss of confidence in their leaders and worsening conditions in their camps. Over in the northeast, rather the northwest, the military source said the troops of 1 brigade foiled 2 coordinated kidnap attempts and rescued 11 victims along the Magami, Jangemi and Kucheri Bilbis routes in Zamfara state. He added that troops in the north central also apprehended 15 criminal suspects and rescued 4 victims during clearance operations in Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa and Kaduna states. Over in the southeast, operatives of the Ebonyi State Police Command have neutralized 2 suspected members of a criminal gang and foiled a kidnap attempt in separate operations across the state. In a statement on Saturday by the police public relations officer Joshua Okando, the command said the suspects were killed during a gun duel with security operatives at their hideout in Uyonu community, Ishielu local government area. According to Okando, the operation, conducted within the Uyonu Idudu forest, followed credible intelligence on the gang's activities in the area. Recovered from the scene were 1 AK-47 rifle, 2 locally fabricated Dane guns, 20 rounds of 9mm ammunition, and 5 live cartridges. In another operation, operatives of the anti-kidnapping unit foiled a kidnap attempt on the mother of a prominent individual in Isasa community, Isu, Onitsha local government area. 3 suspects, Monday Okorie, Nguta Friday and Simon Joshua were arrested, while 1 member of the gang escaped. Away from that, Justice Osho DBE of Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court sitting in Abuja has sentenced the 19-year-old school teacher Abdullahi Abbas to life imprisonment for raping a 9-year-old pupil in Kwali Area Council of the FCT. In a press statement signed by the National Press Officer of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Vincent Adekoye, on Saturday, the agency described the judgments as another major breakthrough in the fight against sexual violence in Nigeria. According to the report, Abbas was working in one of the foremost schools located in Kwali and was the class teacher of the victim. On the 19th of March 2025, after school hours, he sent another pupil to call the victim from their home. He thereafter took the victim down the street where he lived and raped the male victim. The report indicated that despite the threat from the convict, the victim reported the incident to his mother, which led to his arrest by the police and the subsequent referral of the case to NAPTIP. He was arraigned on 2-count charges involving rape and sexual abuse and subsequently convicted on 29 October 2025. Reacting to the development, Director General of NAPTIP, Binta Bello, commended the judiciary for the landmark judgment and the support of all partners in the prosecution of the case and the conviction of the offender. The National Emergency Management Agency has received 131 Nigerian returnees from the Niger Republic under the Assistant Voluntary Return Program supported by the International Organization for Migration in collaboration with the federal government. In a statement on X on Saturday, the agency said the returnees arrived through the Aminu Kano International Airport in the early hours of Thursday, 30th October 2025. They were received by NEMA officials in coordination with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, the Nigerian Immigration Service and other critical stakeholders. According to the agency, the NIS conducted biometric registration and documentation to ensure proper identification and support for reintegration. The statement added that the returnees were subsequently conveyed to the Nigerian Immigration Service Training School, Kano, where further profiling continued. The statement added the returnees on 31st October 2025. Providing a demographic breakdown, NEMA said the 131 returnees comprise 118 male adults, 4 female adults, 2 male children, and 7 female children. The Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is a federal government initiative aimed at strengthening primary health systems across Nigeria, and it is showing promise results in Adamawa State. Primary healthcare facilities in the state are effectively utilizing their monthly allocations, which is improving access to essential health services for rural communities. Trust TV's Gibson Sardigo reports. However, we'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletin. Now, when news returns from this break, business, foreign and sports. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get to business, where the Naira recorded a notable gain of 33 Naira 50 kobo against the dollar in the official foreign exchange market in October, supported by rising external reserves, which climbed to $43.17 billion during the month. Now, data released by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, showed that the Naira ended the month at a record high of 1,421 Naira 73 kobo per dollar on Friday, marking its fourth consecutive all-time strong level since the introduction of the Nigerian foreign exchange market under the electronic foreign exchange management system. Now, this represented a month-on-month appreciation of 2.4% compared to 1,455 Naira 23 kobo quoted at the beginning of the month. On a daily trading basis, the Naira appreciated by 15 Naira 24 kobo from the 1,436.97 kobo quoted on Thursday, showing sustained demand moderation and improved liquidity in the FX market. Over the course of the week, the currency gained 2.18%, strengthening from 1,452 naira 79 kaba per dollar on Monday to 1,421 naira 73 kaba on Friday. In the parallel market, also known as the black market, the naira closed the month at 1,455 naira per dollar, maintaining the same level recorded at the start of October. Meanwhile, Nigeria's external reserves rose to $43.17 billion as of October 30, 2025, marking a 1.8% increase month on month from $42.40 billion at the beginning of October, according to data released by the Apex Bank. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has pledged a steady supply of petrol and diesel nationwide during the upcoming festive period as its daily output now exceeds Nigeria's consumption capacity. The Group Chief Branding and Communications Officer of Dangote Industries Limited, Anthony Chejina, said in a statement on Saturday that the refinery currently dispenses over 45 million litres of petrol and 25 million litres of diesel daily. He noted that increased domestic refining has helped stabilize the naira by reducing foreign exchange outflows and supporting local currency inflows. Defending the government's new tariff policy, Chejina described it as a necessary measure to shield local industries from unfair foreign competition and product dumping. Chejina also commended President Bola Tinubu for endorsing the tariff regime, calling it a bold and visionary step toward energy independence and economic renewal. Away from Nigeria, Israeli fighter jets, artillery and tanks have shelled areas around Khan Yunis, Gaza's second largest city in the territory's south, despite the ongoing ceasefire. Local residents reported that Israeli forces continue the demolition of residential buildings in the Burij refugee camp in central Gaza and northern Gaza City as quadcopter drones were seen dropping grenades. Israel allowed a team from the International Committee of the Red Cross, accompanied by Egyptian engineering equipment, to enter areas beyond the Yellow Line truce demarcation in the town of Bani Suhaila, east of Khan Yunis, to search for the bodies of Israeli captives believed to have been killed in the area. It was the second time Israel has allowed Hamas members accompanied by equipment to enter areas beyond the so-called Yellow Line. The fragile truce faced its biggest challenge earlier this week when Israel carried out strikes across Gaza that killed more than 100 people, following the killing of an Israeli soldier in Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, and the incomplete return of captives. Members of the U.S. Congressional Committee investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case have intensified their calls for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to answer questions about his links to the late sex offender. King Charles stripped his brother of his prince title on Thursday following months of pressure over Andrew's ties to Epstein. Andrew has always denied wrongdoing. At least 4 Democrat members of the House Oversight Committee have since renewed their calls for Andrew to testify if he wants to clear his name or do right by the victims, although the panel is controlled by Republicans who have not indicated they will support the move. Andrew could appear remotely, have a lawyer present, and could speak to the panel privately, Congressman Subramanyam said. Fellow committee member Raja Krishnamurthy told BBC Newsnight he will be willing to formally summon Andrew with a subpoena, although he considered this would be difficult to enforce while he was outside of the United States. And for sports, let's join Adeniyi Ajishafe.
The Nigerian Boxing Federation (NBF) has appointed ex-international Adura Olaleyin as its technical director. Olaleyin, Commonwealth Games silver medalist with ample experience in the boxing arena. Adura led Team Nigeria to success at 2024 African Games and on the ringside as head coach of Team Nigeria to Paris 2024 Olympics. Nigerian Boxing Federation believes Olaleyin's wealth of experience and unwavering resolve to the advancement of boxing will go a long way, while NBF President Wale Edun plans to reform boxing through strategic policies for overall development of boxing in Nigeria. And in football, World Football Governing Body FIFA has confirmed that video assistant referee VAR will be deployed for the highly anticipated African World Cup playoffs. The decision aims to ensure fairness and accuracy in officiating during the crucial qualification matches that will determine Africa's additional representatives at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Nigeria, Gabon, Cameroon, and DR Congo are the 4 nations battling for the remaining slot in the semi-final fixtures. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will face the Panthers of Gabon, while DR Congo will lock on with Cameroon in the other semi-final encounter. The final, which will decide the last African team to book a ticket to the global showpiece, is scheduled for 16 December. Meanwhile, head of technical department, Nigerian Football Federation, Augustine Guavon, has said that the Super Eagles will make the most of their second chance in the World Cup playoffs to secure the ticket to the World Cup. The former Super Eagles defender expressed optimism and determination ahead of the crucial fixtures. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Achishafe.
And that wraps up News Hour tonight on Trust TV. For more of our news programs, documentaries, the World social media platform and on our YouTube live stream. On behalf of the news production team, thank you for joining us tonight. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Good night.